Google has announced that they are going after real estate. You heard it here first. Google has announced that they are going after real estate. That should wake all of you up. You afraid of Zillow anymore? So here's what you need to do to adapt, though. The adaptation is to move over to Google as quickly as you can. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is your online presence a little bit. And that's probably the most important thing, I think. I know you're all going to pull something from this. And the idea here is we're in a very shifting industry with regards to technology. And a lot of people, for a lot of wonderful reasons, are shifting away from what used to dominate the online scene, which is Zillow, right? And so where do we go next? Like, where is our industry going next now that Zillow is going away? Why is Zillow going away? How is Zillow going away? Why should we be going someplace else? And I'll tell you, I can answer all those questions pretty confidently right now. And I would like you all to see it. But first, I need to explain how the industry is shifting, and then we're going to delve into how it's going to impact your real estate business, or the business of all real estate agents going forward. How is that going to change? Even if you didn't even like Zillow or had nothing to do with it, or you say, hey, I don't need online leads, that's cool too. Trust me, you're going to do this. You're going to need to make this shift because the door has been opened in a big, big way with Zillow getting out of the way. Okay? And that's what's happening. So don't be afraid of this big monster. This big monster has just been scared off. Okay? And that is why Zillow's stock has plummeted 40% in the last 2 weeks and will continue to do so. Changes are happening in the industry day to day, and a lot has happened just over this weekend with it. So you're going to have to really be in tuned and take a look at what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to start here by sharing my screen to give you an idea of what is happening in the real estate industry, which is very historic as we speak. Okay, probably the most important thing is going to be in the ballpark of our space for search. There we are. Now we're all squared up. I got my screen sharing with you. Okay, so I want to show you guys something. I'm going to use a parallel industry, and I it's not about real estate, but it's very important I show you this for you to understand what we're talking about, okay? So first, I want you to go over and take a look at my screen. You can see what I've got on here is my Google search screen, right? There was a time when I wanted to go look for an airline to buy a flight, right? I would type in there, flights from Los Angeles. Where do you guys want to go? To Miami. Let's make it big, right? All the way across continental United States. We are going to go disco dancing in the Miami clubs. That's what I want to do. Let me tell you. Look what happens. Take a look at your screen. Take a look at my screen. If you can't see my screen, this is going to be tough. Or if you don't fly a lot, this is going to be tough. So I typed in flights from Los Angeles to Miami. And look what happens right at the top. Google does not even send me to another website. They keep me right here on Google. Now, if I scroll down, I can start seeing Expedia, Kayak, American Airlines, cheap flights, Priceline.com, and all that kind of stuff. You remember when you used to see television commercials for Expedia and Kayak? Remember those days? There's still some people like my mother, who's 76 years old, that actually use those search engines. Like, they'll go to that website. They just go right past the fact that Google's doing it for you. You see that? So it says show flights. I mean, I can click on it and then Google's going to show me all the flights. I'm still on Google here, right? So all my flight options with each airline queried for me. You see that? This is what everybody does, especially if you're under the age of 45 in the United States of America. I mean, they just go right to Google and then you start shopping. You can actually fly to Miami on one flight and fly back on a different airline. You don't have to go to Expedia.com and pay the marked up price, or not be able to use your airline miles, or not be able to get a refund or cancellation because you're buying directly from the airline. And look what's happening. I mean, I got some really cheap flights in here I found. Round, you know what I mean? Departing one way, $89 from Los Angeles to Miami, crazy. Returning the other way, same crazy stuff. Round trip, right? And so I'm searching all of those airlines at once because I used this search query on Google. Why would I take the extra time to go to Expedia, like my mother, and then type it all in again and search again and not get all the flights? Because just like our MLS, not all of the data on Expedia is there. Not all of the airlines pay Expedia to list their flights. Sound familiar? I mean, all I need is a Zestimate on here. That's all I need is a Zestimate to tell me, you know, their guess as to what the airline would cost, I guess. Right? You see what I'm saying? So what Google did about 3 or 4 years ago, I can't remember exactly when, they started a product called Google Local Service Ads, and they targeted the airline industry first. Okay? They targeted the airline industry, and they said, okay, we as Google, which by the way is the largest and highest value company in the world, actually in the history of the world. Okay. So Expedia and Zillow are very, very small fish compared to Google. They can buy them just by rolling over at night. You know, it's easy. Make sense? So for a long time, Expedia and Kayak and Priceline, they've been paying a lot of money to Google to show up first with sponsored ads. But notice they're not doing that anymore. Notice you don't see commercials for them anymore. And no one uses them anymore. Well, a dying number of people, literally, a dying generation is still probably using them. But after that, most people are just going right here and just buying them right away. And these other people, I mean, like Expedia, like Priceline, like Zillow, are going to keep it up because the platform's already built and people are still using it. Might as well turn a profit for as long as we can. As we drop lower and lower, we're going to cut back our ad spend. We're going to stop advertising on TV. All things that Zillow said they're doing now too, right? Not seeing those commercials as much anymore, if at all. And you're going to see that ad spend go down further and further and further as more competition enters the market. Here's the deal, guys. Google has announced that they are going after real estate. You heard it here first. Google has announced that they are going after real estate. That should wake all of you up. You afraid of Zillow anymore? No. Why? Big bank eats small bank. Big fish eats small fish. We were worried about the shark that was Zillow. I wasn't. But I didn't quite know what Zillow was up to. Now I know. They're running. Okay? So yes, Zillow has decided that what they are going to do is they are going to get into real estate, right? They're going to flip some houses in a bunch of markets, which they're doing. They're going to join a lot of MLSs to make it so we can't say bad things about them without violating MLS rules. Fine. So another brokerage opens up in your market and their value prop is they give leads to its agents. I don't know, I can't be the first one of those. It seems like there's hundreds of those all over the place. So I really wouldn't freak out, right? Because they're doing it and they've been doing it for years with lots of clients that we coach across the country. And guess what? It's just another real estate team in your area that provides leads to its agents. Not going to be anything new there. Will it negatively impact your business? Absolutely not. Okay? So here's what you need to do to adapt though. The adaptation is to move over to Google as quickly as you can. Okay? Because Google has publicly announced that they are targeting real estate. Okay? So I'm going to show you proof of this. Absolute proof. And I'm going to have you all do this as well at some point. We're going to type in Google local service ads for realtors. Okay? You're going to find a website, usually comes up at the top, but they advertise on their own platform, ads.google.com, local service ads. We click on it, okay? Get more leads and grow your business. Look at this. Here's a number, 833-272-1444. I advise every single one of you to dial that number ASAP. Let's see how many of you log out. Trust me, you don't want to log out because I got to tell you how to use it first, right? They are targeting law firms. They are targeting accounting. You're going to see real estate over here. Look at that, popping up with stars rated right next to your listings. The target is to actually show up so that when you saw those flights on Google, you're going to see real estate on Google. And here's the deal. They're dishing out Zillow quality leads. Now, for those of you that are new to online lead conversion, it's very important that you understand. Oops, I'm going to share a screen with you. Very, very good. Zillow are the barbarians running away from the Huns and the Mongols. Like, Philip, you are spot on, my man, as usual, right? So this is where it looks. I'm sorry, I hadn't shared my screen with you guys, so I want to show it to you. You go to Google Local Service Ads, you're going to see, here's what, a little card looks like here. And you can see they're doing it with law firms, accounting. And if you play around on the site, you're going to see a hit list of all the industries they want to target. They're big, and airlines is one of them, and they've already started to dominate that. So what's coming next is real estate here, right? And we're going to want to call that number 833-272-1444, any number that comes up here. You'll see it all over the place to get signed up. Do not do it without my help, though. You're going to want to listen to this because, boy, they're going to actually do a 3-week background check on you, criminal background check. They're going to want proof of your license. You're going to have to submit proof of liability and D&O insurance, and then you're going to have to wait a bit, right? That's what's going to, this is very, very serious because this is Google. This is Google. And this is the type, and seeing and believing, right? No wonder Zillow's stock is falling so quickly right now where the rest of the stock market's going up. No wonder people are shorting it left and right. Make sense? It's not because people are running it up on Reddit. It's because Zillow sees the writing on the wall. And this has been public. They've actually been, a couple of our agents in a couple pilot markets have actually been piloting this. And they are Zillow quality leads. So to explain to you what a Zillow quality lead is, this is very crucial that you understand the difference because all online leads are not created equal. A Zillow lead is very different than most leads, right? And there is a reason why they've been higher quality. Most online leads are forced registration style leads, right? Where people want to search for homes and then you ask them to provide their contact information in exchange for letting them browse for homes, okay? Or browse for something, right? Maybe a listing or a home valuation or something, right? So you actually take that information, you force them to register, and then you give them something like an online valuation or the ability to search for homes. And it's shocking how many people do this, but they do it, right? And then later on we call them and they're a little bit surprised by that phone call because they didn't know they were getting a phone call. That's the vast majority of leads out there, and the lead quality on those is all almost identical, okay? But Zillow, the reason they were able to charge anywhere from $150 to $250 per lead is because they had a higher quality lead. They would allow people onto their platform, and people would search around for free without having given any information. They didn't have to, there was no squeeze box, there was nobody saying, give me your email, give me your phone numbers, at all. But what did happen is when they finally saw a house they liked or they wanted to see or they had a question about, they would click a little button that says, let me talk to a realtor. And then Philip would call back and say, hey, this is Philip with Zillow. How can I help you? Sounds like a customer service phone call. Very different. And as long as Philip's on the ball and doing it speed to lead within 5 minutes, they would love that phone call. They'd be like, oh, thanks, man. I'm impressed. Totally different lead. That's why it's like 200 times more expensive, right? Okay? Google is going to do the same thing. They're actually going to have a button up there. And there you're going to say, I want to talk to a realtor. They're going to let them browse as much as they want to. So Zillow went like this. Oh, iBuyer. Let's sell real estate. It wasn't the plan. It's this. And this is getting out. And a whole lot of people on Wall Street are shorting the stock right now. Check it out. Check it out. Yeah, I mean, you guys are in front on this. I mean, this is happening in the last week. You are in front on this. So who do you bet on? I bet on Google in just about any competition on the planet. And guess what? Google has no intention of selling real estate. They actually need us. They heart us. They love us. So we're all scared about this big shark Zillow. Some of you were. and a bigger shark just came and gobbled the enemy. Zillow runs to join and put them in a position when they cannot take over legally without violating major rules, major laws, and lending themselves open to a very large piece of litigation. So we're all saved. You are free. I'm so happy to set you free. Now I'm going to show you how to capitalize on it, okay? Because you must pivot your business hard, and you're ahead of everybody. I mean, freaking everybody. Thanks to this little session, very few people are taking advantage of this. Almost no one knows about it, except for the people shorting the stock, which usually aren't in real estate, right? And that's why we're seeing that drop. Okay? I think it's like 42 bucks a share or something. It was down this morning or something already. See what I'm saying? So we're way out in front here. Now, I have been testing this at ICC, this is a little plug, with all of my clients for months, the ones that were in pilot areas. And it's not like we're getting a bunch of leads yet because, of course, it's not out there on a big level and we're not seeing the flights come up. However, like it was with Google Flights, right? So again, this is Google Flights. We're just in real estate now. So for those of you guys that logged in late, you missed the whole thing. But don't worry, I'm not going to go back. We'll re-show that to you. That video will be played because we are recording here and you will all see it. But please understand, this is a shift that proof's in the pudding. I am showing it to you here. So I know there'll be people who disagree. I'm not sure how you can. So here we are, okay? And if you play around on this, somewhere on here, I can't remember where it is, there is a huge list of all the industries they're targeting. So if you want to like make a lot of money in the stock market, I would just go short every single one of those search engines. Like the one for apartments.com with Jeff Goldblum, that thing's gone. Why? Google wants it. And what Google wants, Google takes. Make sense? They're just that big.
Can I ask a question?
We can, sure, go ahead.
Just a quick question.
We're gonna do just this one though, because I do have a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time. So let's go.
So when you told us we should go and call that number, what exactly is it doing for us? Is it?
Well, bear with me. We're getting there. I promise you.
Okay.
I got to teach you a lot before we can do it. Okay. I promise you we're going to get there. Well, you know what? I'll answer that question first. Okay. So what we're going to do there is we are going to actually, this is up to you, but if you want to purchase some online leads, that's what that will do for you. And the price is somewhere between $20 to $40 per lead. If you want to buy one, you pay per lead. It depends on where you live and what your average price is and stuff like that. If you want to buy a lead, you don't have to buy leads. So that's why I was going to kind of leave that till the end. But if you do want to buy a lead, you can go on there. It is Zillow quality because it is asking for a phone call. However, it's better than Zillow quality because Google's plan that they will tell you as they start up is that if that lead does not stay on the phone with you for more than 30 seconds, you do not pay for the lead. And to people that have any experience with online leads, that is huge because the vast majority of them hang up on you, or it's a wrong number, or they yell at you or something like that. Well, you don't pay for any of those. You only pay for the ones that talk to you for more than 30 seconds, and you can hang up too. Remember, Google owns Google Voice, and that's how they're going to transfer these to you. Google owns just about everything you're going to find out. Their infrastructure is huge for distribution. They're worth about 15 times the size of Apple or Tesla or any of that. I mean, it's a monstrous, the company's called Alphabet. Google's a part of it. It's monstrous, okay? So they have the capacity to get this to you. So if it doesn't work, you don't pay. So I recommend trying it out. That's my advice because you only pay per lead and a good lead stays on for 30 seconds. Should be a very easy one. Now you don't have to pay for it. I'll show you what to do as we move forward if we don't want to pay for those leads. This is also referred to as a part of a program called Google Meets, MEETS. It's their business platform. So if you hear that used, it's just semantics. The Google Local Service Ads is the exact same thing. You're in the right place, if that makes sense. It gets a little confusing. I know this is new and it's a big shift. Welcome to being the tip of the spear though. So if you're watching this, you're way ahead of the game, I assure you, okay? So they're gonna do heavy background checks. You're gonna hear it all. They're gonna tell you, you're gonna need to sign up. You're gonna need to wait. There are, the lead quality from what we've seen, On average, an agent, they're going to ask you for a budget too. With my clients, I tell them get the max budget, put 5, 10,000, whatever. No one's going to give you that many leads yet. At most, I've seen an agent get 10 leads a month. From those 10 leads, 3 of them went under contract and the rest are still nurturing or no good, one or the other. And that's pretty strong. That's the strongest lead conversion rate at least 30% I have ever seen in the real estate industry by far. It more than doubles Zillow's. And we're piloting that with 3 different agents of 3 different teams across the country. We are in direct collaboration at ICC with Google, believe it or not, on this, because I've been on the phone with them since Thanksgiving. Now I am a believer. I'm seeing it. Everything they've been talking about is coming true. And we're seeing this industry change. So between now and spring, I think you're going to be the biggest shift. Now, does Zillow die? I don't know. I do know that you're going to, because Expedia is not dead yet either, right? I mean, there's still people that use Expedia, which blows my freaking mind, but people are habitual. They're creatures of habit. So, I mean, why not Zillow keep it up there? As long as people are willing to use it and search for it, they're still going to have leads. As long as people pay for advertising, they're still going to have some income. So they're probably going to milk it. Does this take 6 months or does it take 6 years? I don't know, but I think it's just a matter of when. Pretty dang sure. Because if I put those 2 companies up against each other, yay, Google, you're the white knight to the rescue. Does that make sense? Okay, so this saves us. Everybody's happy. This is freaking awesome. Like, I love this. I really do. To me, it's like one of the happiest days on the planet. And we're all positioned, and I'm going to show you how to get positioned, because that's the lead purchase aspect of this, okay? And that's Google local service ads for realtors. And that's the first concept. We'll just start with that, okay? If you want to buy leads, that's how you do it. I'd try it. You can shut them off at any time. I mean, it's not like we're breaking the bank to buy a lead or 2 here. So why not try it? Go in there, buy a lead. If you don't like it, call them and say, I don't want them anymore. There's no contract, none of that. Okay, simple, simple, simple. So, I know that, people get taboo about online leads and stuff like that too. Man, I don't get taboo about anything, and neither should you, So give it a shot. You can yes, you should always, focus on your sphere of influence first and build it by referral. I think that goes without saying. This is a tiny little pillar of business, but we're going to talk about how to build it. More or less, I wanted to alleviate some concerns with all of you. I'm sure sometimes someone's going to be watching this video and can't believe people were afraid of Zillow, but here we are, right? So this is moving pretty darn quick, okay? So those of you at conference last week, lots happened since conference. That's just, it's just been moving quick. So that's the idea, okay? Now, next up, and this is getting out. This has been a real kept close secret inside the ICC community. I don't know if anybody outside of it knew or not, to be perfectly honest with you, because I wasn't telling anybody, because I wanted to, get it to my people first and let them be guinea pigs. And now I feel comfortable enough to bring it to you. And that I'm very excited to do. So with that said, how can we complete your online profile? Okay, so I want to move over to step 2 of this. That's if you want to buy online leads. We're going to call that number. Don't do this online thing. Call them. You'll see they're great. It's freaking Google. Everything about their customer service is phenomenal. Call, get signed up, get in there. Number 2, now we got to set your profile up, right? So how do we do that? Let's share a screen, and I'm going to walk you through how to do this too. Okay? So we get over here to my screen. We're going to type in Google My Business. Write that down. Google My Business. This is a wonderful program from Google. Okay? So if you take it, this is an advertisement. Right below that, you can see the first organic link is www.google.com/business or whatever they do, because Google's its own little internet here. So you Google My Business. We're going to click on that. And you're going to sign up for it. This is free. This doesn't cost you a penny. You don't have to pay any more money, I promise. I didn't ask you for much before, right? So we're going to click on this and we're going to set up your business profile, okay? You must do this, okay? Everybody should have already done this. And let me show you what it looks like when you do it, okay? I got one of my clients who won't mind if I search for her. All of a sudden, boom, I search for real estate in this certain area, and one of my clients pops up. Look at this, down to the right side. Here's the search terms, but look out here to the right. It's like her own little website on the Google search bar. See that? And look at the most important thing on here is right here. Guys, this is new real estate currency. You need to be focused on Google reviews. We'll talk about that in a little bit, because this is how we're going to divvy up leads if we're Google to our agents. So this is going to impact the number of leads you get, whether it be organic or purchased, but we'll come back. We got a lot of photos here. Here's her, some members of her team. Here's some local photos of photos. Where she's located is right here. Notice we have a link to her website, directions to, how to call them, how to save this, benchmark it, her address, her hours. I'd probably extend the hours a little bit. Phone number here. Some reviews are listed down below. Very, very simple, very, very clean, very, very professional. For you, just like on Zillow, if you wanted leads from Zillow, you had to fill out and do a nice Zillow profile. If you bought leads on Zillow, you needed a nice profile to get more leads. We need to be there here on Google My Business with your location. Now, let me explain to you, your location must be where you want business. Okay? So if your office is a long ways away from where you work, I might set up your Google location where you want the business, right? So maybe it's your house, maybe it's a satellite office, maybe it's your lender's office, whatever, because you need to be within a certain, radius, depending on where you live, it totally varies, of where you want to be. I might put on here, Danny Beyer, this agent works in Kansas City. I might even put Danny Beyer Real Estate Kansas City in the name just to generate a little bit more Google juice, a little bit more SEO around it. Okay? But that must be loaded. That is your website, because people don't click to go to websites anymore. They just stop at Google if they can. You always want to cut down on people's clicks. So this needs to look really good over here for organic leads, for paid Google leads. Now understand, I do want to back up here because a lot of you are going to get confused with Google like AdWords. This is not Google AdWords. Google AdWords is just renting space. That's fine. You can buy leads through Google AdWords, but you're not building any long-term anything. You need to build your own so that you own it, you don't lease it, right? You need to build your own. And that starts, the very first step is with a Google My Business location, okay? So maybe you go sign up for those online leads if you do want to buy them. And while you're waiting 3 weeks for a background check, we're building up and making and optimizing our Google My Business profile. Now, let me throw you a little trick out there. This is what the top teams do. A lot of times you want to work in different locations. So we have a client named Rick Fuller, who is the #1 real estate team in the San Francisco Bay Area. And one of his keys to success is he has multiple Google My Business profiles in different cities. So he's got one in San Francisco in the city. He's got one in Oakland, one in Berkeley, one in San Rafael, one in Alameda, one in Contra Costa. He's even got one out in Elk Grove, out towards Sacramento. And so he's got multiple satellite offices, as much as they are. I think one of them is like a Regis building. One of them might be his lender's office. I don't know, but he wants to work in those different areas. So he wants to make sure when people search for houses in those different locations on Google, he shows up. So what he's done, he's created multiple Google profiles in those hyper local areas so that he shows up. Okay? I know I got all of you there. I don't care how much you sell. You're like, oh, dang, he got me with one. There it is. Thomas Curtis, I see him smiling. That's what happens, right? Every single one of you, and trust me, we're not done. We'll give you more. But that's the trick here, okay? To get ahead of this thing, we have to optimize your Google profile, even if we're just going to stay organic, okay? Even if we're just going to stay organic, okay? All right, step 3. Step 3 is moving over here to these Google reviews. Okay, Google reviews. This is great. She's got 134 Google reviews here, okay, for this team. Now, this is the switch, because what is happening, for those of you that are relying on Zillow reviews, those are going away. They are absolutely, if they haven't gone yet, they're going, okay? Why? Well, Zillow is going to be a member of every MLS. They're already a member of most of them. If they're not a member of yours yet, they are very, very close to being one. And guess what you can't do? You can't, in any MLS in North America, say negative things about other agents in your MLS, certainly not publicly on your website. So if you give another agent 2 stars, that would be very bad, and that would violate MLS rules. So that's going away. Make sense? So they can't rate other agents and still be in compliance with MLS rules and be a member and sell real estate. So their wings and their fangs are getting clipped everywhere. But you get that? The problem is, if you've got a lot of reviews, they are going away. Okay? I promise you. And that's a bummer for people that build a lot of them. That's no fun. But I feel a little bit more comfortable that if you build them up on Google, they're going to stay here for a while because it's freaking Google. So we have to have a very concentrated effort. Most of the real estate agents and teams that we coach have a goal on their team scoreboard where they are trying to get 5 5-star reviews on Google every single week. So that at the end of a 50-week year, they've got 250 5-star reviews. Now we're cooking with Crisco. Now Google's going to divvy out those leads to us. Okay? And just so you know, I didn't mention this, but when those leads do get divvied out to you, they do not integrate with the CRM yet. That is kind of a bummer for the big teams that handle thousands of leads. However, they have promised that they are trying as quickly as they can to make integration a reality with most major CRMs. For now, though, they're going to connect you by phone, which is what Zillow was starting to do anyway. Okay, so with that being said, that's the idea, is we got to get those reviews up. So if you type into Google, this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to type into Google how to create a link for Google reviews. Okay, how to create a link for customers to leave Google reviews. That way you can just text it to them. Can you give me a 5-star review, right? So then we're going to search through here and we're going to take a look. Create a link for customers to create reviews. And look at Google. Doesn't Google just answer all your questions? Here's how you do it. Okay, so just type into the search bar and it's going to walk you through a nice little tutorial about how to create a link from your Google profile and how you can text it to people and build up your reviews quickly. For those of you, this should be done as a part of your closing checklist. Every time you close on a property, you send them this link and say, please give me a 5-star review. That's the best way you can help me. Go back to all your clients last year and get this out to them. We got to try to pump our Google reviews as quickly as possible. Okay, so I just typed into the search bar. That's why Google's awesome. How do I create a link for customers to write Google reviews? Just type it straight in. It'll tell you how to do it. Google will solve a lot of problems. I should work for Google. All right, does that make sense? Am I delivering on what I promised? Are you guys getting some new cool stuff? I'm telling you, guys are ahead of everybody right now. Nobody knows this junk, so I'd keep it kind of secret. I'm not joking, nobody. I mean, and we coach at this company the highest producing agents in North America. They know. Now you know. I'd keep it tight. I'm not telling anybody. That's for dang sure. I'm going to milk this as long as we can. So, if that makes sense, okay?
Brian, I have a question.
Okay. Fire away, Angela.
Just sure. Really quick.
You bet.
Okay, so, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. When you're saying to go to Google My Business and create Angela Chavez Real Estate, Los Angeles.
I love it.
But I'm also
probably go tighter than that, though. I think I'd go tighter than Los Angeles. I think
that was going to be my question. So should I do Sherman Oaks, Granada Hills, North Hills? Now, am I creating?
I like that.
Thank you. So should I do one for each location?
You might be able to. It just depends. We got to have a location there, Angela. So we got to find a location, a lender, maybe a house.
I'd come up with a broader definition of the area.
What's that?
Come up with a broader definition, like the Valley or the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, I like San
something
Fernando
that
Valley.
Covers everything.
I like that. I like San Fernando Valley. If we can we don't want to get too hyper local where we lose some areas.
Okay.
If we can find an acceptable area that's known, That, I mean, people will search San Fernando Valley, absolutely. So I like
Yeah,
that.
my lender's in San Fernando Valley, so
There we go.
maybe that helps out as well.
He or she will help you for sure. So I like that. I like that.
Okay.
Okay. No, that's good. Good question. Okay. I got to move quick with you guys because we're not quite done that. So we move in. Okay. So in those Google reviews, this is a really big one, guys. You can't, because Google reviews are hard to get, man. Reviews of any kind are hard to get. Okay. I mean, I cannot tell you how hard it is to get people to give reviews. I mean, you have to really push. So the top teams don't just ask. I mean, they ask when they go under contract. They ask when we get contingencies removed. They ask again at closing. They ask on a customer service phone call until they get it. You have to keep asking for the reviews. I mean, the two things you ask for always are reviews and referrals. Reviews and referrals. You ask early, you ask often, always. And with Google, it's a lot easier to get the review than with Zillow. With Zillow, you had to like prove which house you sold of theirs and stuff like that. Oh, you don't need to do that at all on Google. With Google, you can have your mom do it, your dad do it, your grandmother do it, everybody. It's got to be a real person, and they, but that's it. It's simple, simple, simple. Okay? So Google reviews are a lot easier to get, but you're going to see people hate to take the time to do it. Okay? People hate to take the time to do it. Make sense? Now so you do that, okay? So we get those reviews load up. We do that Google My Business profile and we load that up. I would dabble with the Google local service ads. You're gonna be optimized for search. If you type in your name and your city and you do not see that Google My Business profile come up, you have no online presence on the internet. And that will explain why you've never gotten internet leads. We just solved a huge problem. Make sense? So you gotta show up there. Please put your name first. All right? Your name, your first and last name first. You can put after that whatever you want. Even having some locations in there is pretty cool, like Angela said. Okay? Now, I'll take you next level with this just a little bit. Okay, I want to recap first. We talked about Google local service ads for realtors, okay, and how we could actually pay for leads pretty cheap per lead for a real high quality lead. Don't expect a ton of them, so don't freak out. Right now, it's brand new and they're piloting it, okay? Now, once we start seeing those listings show up like flights do, though, on Google, I expect a lot of them to start coming. Okay, and that is coming soon now. All right, then we're gonna go set up that Google My Business profile. Right, that's step 2. We're gonna load up that with all our photos, a lot of photos. I want a photo of you, photos of your best properties in your area, maybe some local photo, right? Like if you're in LA, maybe the Staples Center or that LA Live or whatever, something that shows you're local, okay? Your logo, your address, all that kind of stuff, links to your website, all that kind of junk, load her up. Third, we're gonna make a big effort for at least a year, probably going on in the future, for Google reviews. Okay, that's a big one, okay? On a next level, this is for those of you that go next level, if you wanna go into this organic world, you've heard about people blogging. And you're like, what the heck is that? Seems like a waste of time. Well, that's not a waste of time. However, it's very hard to do. But I would do this last. Okay, all the other stuff's easy. So if you add a blog to your website, or you create a secondary website, which is what most people do, where they start learning about how to create blog content, that is how you really now dominate Google. Is we create relevant, hyper-local blog content around your local area, right? So upcoming entertainment in the San Fernando Valley, right? When schools are opening back up in Malibu. Things like that. Spotlighting a local business in Pismo Beach. Things like that, right? It's that hyper-local content that we typically just put on social media. We also now put on a blog. that we then put on social media to drive traffic to it. Google sees all the traffic going to the blog. And then Google goes, ooh, Google likey. I'm going to start showing that because a lot of people going over there anytime they search. Does this sound familiar? Because those of you that are addicted to my website, it's a huge blog. Every website's a huge blog these days. They're called complex blogs. It's the definition of a website. I have the realestatetrainer.com. If you're looking for real estate productivity training content online, it's kind of hard for me not to show up. So if you want to round it all out and dominate that area, that's how you do it. My good friend, coach, and client, Rick Fuller in San Francisco, he's got a blog writer that writes for him now. He used to write it himself, but it's very, very cumbersome. Trust me, I used to too. And he pumps out SEO loaded content all the time that's hyper local. The guy gets more, the guy's used to be a huge Zillow spender too. But he got more organic leads from Google than he did Zillow, just from the blog content and his My Business locations all over the bay. Make sense? So that's the idea. That's how we take it a little bit next level. Now, you can also do things like buying Google AdWords, but it has nothing to do with this. That is not organic. It does not help your online presence at all. It can get you some leads. It does make you show up and your name show up all over the place, so you can brand yourself for farming and things like that way. But that's a different animal. You just rent it. The minute you stop paying money for that, you got nothing again. That's why I'm not that thrilled with that. This builds a long-time presence for you, okay? And this is where our industry is heading. Trust me, let Google lead it. It's a good time. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have the intention of swallowing us and cannibalizing us. These people, as far as I know, these people like to stay with the internet. They're going to need realtors on the ground to convert these leads. All right, makes sense?